Welcome to the Real and Real Pod channel. My name is David. This is a 1,000 piece puzzle. Let's get into the review. So I've been looking forward to this movie since last year. I know some people were freaking out about her eyes and that it looked weird, but it really didn't bother me. I liked it because it looked different, and I was super excited for the movie and the visuals, and I thought it'd be a fun movie. So I went in with high expectations, and I left pretty much annoyed. I left annoyed because of the ending, but I'll explain that later. Let me back up a little bit. The main feature of Alita is supposedly the visuals. Come look at this pretty new world we've created. Look at the robots we have. And they do a pretty good job. Alita looks the best. The world looks pretty. Some of the sections kind of remind me of Blade Runner, and others remind me of Wakanda from Black Panther, the little village section. The fighting was really fun and creative. Visually, everything looks really good for the most part. When I say for the most part, I do mean there are a couple scenes where some of it looks like a video game cutscene, or at least a sequel to Ready Player One, and one character looks horrible. Like if there was an A and B team, Alita was on the A team, and the B team got this person. But all in all, other than those pretty much two scenes, everything else looks fine in the visual department. But the visuals are really not the problem for this movie, it's the writing. I honestly don't know if the plot was fully worked out. So the main plot is pretty simple. The doctor finds Alita in a scrapyard, and he puts her back together with robot parts, and she has amnesia, so she can't remember her past. So now we, the audience, are on this journey to find out who is Alita. And there's a flying structure floating in the sky with all the rich people. So it kind of reminds you of like a Hunger Games or any other young adult novel, post-apocalyptic world. So her backstory hints at a war that she was involved in. Does it clarify what the point of the war was, what life was before the war, what impact it had on the world? No, not really. It raises more questions than it answers. It felt like there was a book I needed to read before this, and I'm pretty sure this is based off a manga or some type of Japanese animation, but this feels like they wrote 3 books. This is the second book in the series, and I missed the first one somehow, and then there's a sequel coming up, which again, I'll talk about later. Before I get there, I want to talk about the villain. So they have Mahershala Ali as the actor playing the villain. He is a great actor. Problem is, he's not really the villain. There's a villain behind the villain. And this isn't a spoiler because they reveal this in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the movie. So yeah, there's a guy behind the guy. And do we meet the ultimate bad guy? Kind of at the end. But that's why I left the movie annoyed, because the movie sets up a sequel, and I hate it. I really hate it. The movie gets to a somewhat conclusion, then it does, I believe it was a 3-month jump, and then Alita's like, I'm coming for you, bad guy, and then the movie cuts off. That is the end. Roll credits, that's it. So you leave feeling unfulfilled. I don't know why studios do this, but stop trying to set up franchises. Just make a really good first movie. If it does well, then give us another movie. When you try to jump the gun, you end up with an unfinished movie because you have no idea if this will be a success. So now we pretty much have an unfinished story, and this is the Lord of the Rings. I don't know that you'll get a sequel. It was the worst part of the whole movie. But to end on somewhat of a positive note, I do have to say, as I was watching the movie, I had this thought. This feels like a guilty pleasure because the movie is pretty much swiftly paced and everything feels just, I don't want to say rushed, but it goes along pretty fast. Even the love story is pretty quick, like, oh, they fall in love super fast. But there are a lot of corny and comical moments in Alita, and I'm pretty sure they weren't intentional. Like, for example, Alita sheds a tear at one point and then she slices it in half before it hits the ground. That's just corny. And then I'm sure you've seen in the poster and also in the trailer where she rubs blood on her eyes. The origin of that blood is also kind of funny. Then one character actually dies, and that made me laugh. I know that makes me sound like a horrible human being, but if you see it, it's just comical. I know it's supposed to be emotional, but it just looks funny because the character looks bad. It's the previous character I said that the B team worked on. It's just not good. Every single storyline is predictable, nothing surprising, and it is fun at times. My main issue is the ending, and the ending is garbage to me. So if I had to decide to go see this movie, I would go see it in theaters, but only matinee, because if you're paying over $7 to $10 to see this movie, you're doing something wrong. It's not worth it. But those are my thoughts on Alita. Did you see it? Let me know what you thought. Write it down in the comments. So when I'm not reviewing movies or putting together puzzles, I host a podcast called The Real and Real Pod. Have you ever watched a movie and thought to yourself, what if this happened in real life? That's pretty much what the podcast is about. We actually did one on this episode called What If Everyone Had Robot Bodies? Go listen to it. It's really fun. We're on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, pretty much everywhere. Let us know if we're not somewhere. We'll get there. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday, so please go check that out. If you want to hit me up personally, you can find me on Twitter at a Clark Kent type. Shout out to the stash. Thank you guys for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day. Bye. So, extra question, how does food work? Because she ate an orange and the doctor said, good, it'll help your brain, but she doesn't have a stomach because it's robotic. So does it just shoot up to her brain, which is, I guess, still human, and somehow it breaks it down? I don't understand. Somebody let me know down in the comments. Okay, bye.